I didn't even start the virtual camera. Hi, hello, and welcome to another group video where the iced coffee is already empty and we're just gonna go for it. So I ended up getting a Magic the Gathering card booster pack. They're still running the Marvel superheroes. Ooh. So it says Marvel superheroes, but I feel like they have to have villains too, right? All right, let's start by reading the back. I also still have these fortune cookies. I'm going to open a fortune cookie as always. Take it as a resonate. If it resonate, if it don't resonate, don't take it. And we're just going to see what's up. Assemble Earth's mightiest heroes. The Marvel Universe has arrived in full force. An all-star roster of heavy hitters jumps from the comics to the battlefield, and the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Build your dream super team of heroes and villains, then suit them up with iconic gear and unleash their earth-shaking abilities. Soar, strike, and smash your way to victory in Magic the Gathering / Marvel superheroes. So yeah, heroes and villains. Cool. So there's 14 cards in the deck. Not all of them are going to be characters necessarily, right? I have I'm using the D100, the two D10s. Oh. The double zeros, the convention is double zero is going to be heroes. The single digit is going to be villains. When we get 6 of either, then something happens. If we get 6. What that something is, I don't necessarily quite know yet. And I wanted to have it already whatever to not interrupt the flow, but it's fine. Yeah, let's just go for it. Let's just see what's up. It is the last day of July. We're headed into month 8. Can you believe it? 2026 is over, halfway over. Let's see. I'm gonna eat the left one. Oh, or the right one. You will find great fortune in unexpected places. Okay. What was the last one? Like an unexpected surprise or something like that? Great fortune in unexpected places. I'm like not trying to, or I'm trying to not demolish this. I don't, I don't think it's working. Is that? Oh no, she's not Marvel. She's DC. I guess it could be the Wasp, right? I was thinking the Bee Girl. I forget her name. What an interesting. There's the front, and there she is. Like I feel like they could have put anything in there, and they got. Is that the Wasp? Right? It's Ant-Man and the Wasp. I haven't seen the Ant-Man movies, but I know that like somebody gets stuck in a quantum realm or something. But the fact that she's here with that great fortune in unexpected places is interesting. It's interesting to me. It's interesting to me. All right, back to Black Panther. Back Planter. Okay. On the front, let's see. Oh, it's fine. We have A not token on the bottom. It is a token. I don't know. There's a whole bunch about the Marvel superheroes that I do not know. Because I feel like in theory, I should be more into superheroes than I am. I feel like there's a few things I should be more into. Like on paper, you would think that I'm more into it, but I'm just like not. And I feel like superheroes are one of those things, which is interesting. I mean, if you look at my taste in pretty much anything, I feel like it would be a safe bet. Can something be a safe bet if it's incorrect? I mean, it's a safe bet. Oh, I just broke it. That's fine. I kind of like these when they're broken, TH, because I can just tie them off. Um, I think yeah, it's a safe bet again, considering everything else that I like and that I'm into, but I don't like. I guess it would be safe in the way that you would think it's like a surefire thing, but you would be wrong. Okay, well I just f this thing all up. At this point, I could have just used my hair. I'm like struggling. I was gonna breathe and I forgot. Let's take a breath while I fidget with this. I feel the lactic acid building. Oof, my shoulders. One more on the mask. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we have a Moloid, token creature minion. When this token attacks, you may mill a card. And the other side of the token is a wall, which is a defender. We have the wall on one side, and we have this Moloid on the other. I feel like I'm like, there's always a dream or an anime or a something. But this, I don't fully remember the purpose of it. This reminds me of a dream I had years ago. And I may have put it in my dream journal. I may not have. I don't the only thing I remember about that dream, it was like spacey, like a space station type whatever. There were people on board that shouldn't have been. There was a shield and then there were like lasers. Is that relevant information? I don't know. If we look at the wall could be a veil. Okay. Whenever the creature attacks, you get to mill a card. Milling a card, I believe, because again, I feel like I've used so many of these booster packs for my knowledge of Magic the Gathering to be as rusty as it is. Um, when you mill a card, you get to look at the top card because you know the deck is face down. You get to look at the top card. If you want to keep the card, you can like leave it. If you don't want it, you can put the card in your graveyard. Right? You can take it from the top. You can remove it. You know what? I keep looking over here. Let me remove this distraction. Because at first I was just gonna be like, oh, if I'm distracted, like it's whatever. But apparently that's not that ain't gonna fly today. So when you mill a card, you get to look at the top of the deck. If you want the card, you keep it. If you don't want it, you put it in your graveyard, right? And then we have this wall. The wall is given the veil. So there's this, we'll see how it unfolds. But there's this veil or something that's protected. And then there's this moloid that's like trying to get, there is something or someone trying to get access to something that is protected. And the moloid is just like a minion, it's cannon fodder, it's a grunt. And it's like the purpose of the moloid, like you don't necessarily think that the moloid is gonna like take the wall down. Right. So either it's a distraction or with that milling, it's like there's something that you glean from it. Right. So it's like if you have some kind of like camera on the moloids that's connected to something so you can watch a live feed, right? Like you know that the moloid it's basically expendable. But if you can watch the feed, then you there's something that you learn, right? So you send the moloids in, and so it's kind of like that. Like it's an attempt to get some kind of information or something or whatever. And with this wall, the attacks are at least partially deflected, right? You can see it coming in, and then it's like the laser or whatever bounces off. Because it's deflected, I feel like whatever purpose the moloid is supposed to serve, like it's not working, right? So it's almost like again, like you put the camera on the moloid, you turn on the live feed, but after a certain point, then there's like interference, right? I'm gonna get my hair done eventually, y'all. It's fine. It's fine. Um, it's like the feeds are cut out, or there's some kind of electromagnetic. What's EMF? Electromagnetic force. EMP, electromagnetic pulse that like cuts the feeds. So whatever the moloid is supposed to be able to do, it's not doing. For some reason, I want to say like the moloids hallucinate. So maybe the EMF, or is that electromagnetic frequency? It's probably electromagnetic frequency, not electromagnetic force. Um, it's like maybe the EMF scrambles the signal or something. And it's like it causes the moloids to hallucinate. So if you're watching the live feed from the moloid, it's like you're seeing what the moloid is seeing, but you're not seeing the truth. Anyway, didn't necessarily expect to start here. I barely ever have expectations of anything. I feel like if I've learned anything in all of this, it's to never have expectations of anything. Okay. So, first card we get, ooh, the foil, Pym Technologies. See, I don't know much about Marvel, but I know that Ant-Man and them Pym folks, right? And we have the Wasp. So this land enters tapped. When this land enters, you gain one life, and you can tap it to add either water or a forest, green or blue mana. Excuse me. These ants are the best lab assistants I've ever had. No offense, Bill. Hank Pym. It's so funny that this is Hank Pym. See that? Ooh. It's funny that it's Hank Pym because I was literally just at Walmart and I was going down the coffee aisle, coffee, tea, honey, etc. And I was looking for a refresher. Ooh, like that piece of ice just like went right and hit the back of my throat. I was 1 second. Okay, it's fine. Wait. Okay. Yeah. Just making sure. I mean, I'm not gonna eat dinner because I'm doing this, but you know, just gotta be aware. As I was going down the coffee aisle, apparently Tom Hanks has a coffee and his name was on it. I want to say it was Hank, but it had to be Hanks because his last name is Hanks. Okay, we might have to. This is getting a little distracting. I don't know why. I'm feeling like ultra distracted today. It was interesting. Let me put this on vibrate, I guess. I mean, if it's vibrating, it's still gonna, it's fine. It's interesting. I looked, I saw Hanks. I'm like, what? And it has a space on it. And then we got Hank Pym with this laboratory. See, because of the laboratory, again, I don't know much about Marvel anything, but I know that they end up in the quantum realm. And so it's interesting that you have this like moloid technological, almost drone like, grunt like energy with this wall that deflects things. And then you have PIM technologies. And it's not just like it's technologies, like emphasis on the technology. But again, it's almost like the technology is hallucinating. So what you see, you don't actually see, or something. Oh, snap, Steph, how you been? I've been wondering about you. I saw you uploaded something. I was like, okay, at least she's safe. How's it going? I hope you've been well. Okay, interesting. No heroes or villains yet. Next, we have a Kunlun warrior, which is a human warrior hero. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact or discard a card. If you do, draw a card. The old men of Kunlun were afraid to train me. Now I am their last line of defense. Sparrow, Thunderer of Kunlun. Do they not say like hero or villain? Oh, snap. Glad to hear it. I know that things out in Florida was kind of rough for a minute, but I think your family's from Oklahoma, right? I'm glad to hear that you're, if they are, that you're with family and that you got out of there. Yeah, I've heard about them. I thought it would say like hero or villain, and I don't know nothing. So, but there is this like cyberpunk, almost techno. Maybe it's okay, maybe not. I was looking at her headband, and it was giving me almost like visor vibes. The old men of Kunlun were afraid to train me. Now I am their last line of defense. I guess the old men didn't want to train her because she's a woman. Oh, hold up, where are we going with this? In this, there is a certain like almost low hanging fruit, right? If we look at the quantum realm as the veil, then we have Hank Pym, the old men of the Kunlun not wanting to train the this warrior. I'm assuming because she's a woman. And so it's almost like, you have the intuitive realm that gives insight into certain things. And the intuition is, it's, you could say it's like a back door. It isn't, but it almost functions as one. It's like it's the primary entrance that functions as a back door. And with this like Hank Pym, Pym Technologies, Old Men of Kunlun, it is like a lowest hanging fruit reads like masculine, not even masculine energies in feminine spaces. It's like a masculine approach that seeks to, however, it goes about trying to get access to whatever's on the other side of that wall. It doesn't align. Because again, it's like the intuition or this feminine aspect, whatever. It is the primary entrance, but it almost functions as a back door. And what does that even mean? Because I feel like the thing about a back door is that like it's just like a secret entrance. Like there's nothing inherently whatever about a back door besides it's like hidden, secret, or not the primary entrance. But I feel like I don't know how else to explain. Maybe it only feels like a back door because of such a heavy, like masculine presence, approach, energy, vibe, whatever. And the feminine aspect, it's just like different. And so, again, in reality, the moloid, in reality, the wall is left intact. There is no part of the, like, it's either absorbed or reflected. There is no part of those beams that penetrate through the wall. Right. But again, there was that energy of like hallucination. And so I feel like it's like so coherent in my mind, and it is not coming out in a coherent manner at all from my mouth. From the mind to the mouth, there's some kind of disconnect. Again, it's just like it's this super like masculine approach to something. So, for example, let's say it's something like artistic or creative or emotional, right? Let's say there's like we're just gonna throw out a metaphor and we'll massage it into something that hopefully takes a form that fits. Let's say there's some kind of sales component, right? There's something in sales, and there's like you want to find your target audience so that you can sell the thing. Now, let's say that there's a lot of market research and there's a lot of like logical, analytical. It's like you have an aesthetic and then you have an anesthetic, right? It's like this logical anesthetic, which is like it has an aesthetic to it, but it's very like sterile. You know what I mean? Almost like modern, very like monochromatic, sharp angles and lines, boxy, and and the hallucination of it all. It's like they think it works, and it does sell, but it's at a fraction of like what it could be, right? Now let's say that like the feminine approach is one that's more like dialed into like customer needs, sensibilities, and stuff like that, right? So rather than if we build it, they will come or like they will buy it because they don't really have any other choices or options, like it actually like interacts with the customer and it finds a way to fit into their lives in a way that they need, right? And so with the success of the thing, it's almost like because it's never been done any other way, then it like trends positively. But if there were any competition or any other options available that catered to like, creativity and aesthetic and like fitting into people's lives, it would like dominate that analytical and aesthetic whatever. And it's like whenever you are making something for people, like it would make sense to get to know people and to see how things would like fit into their life. Like that's the back door that's like it's really the front door, but it's kind of like a back door because it's like, hey, if you're making something for someone, like ask them what they want. Or at the very least, ask if they would actually use it. You know what I mean? And so maybe there's a time when something reaches like a catastrophic failure because it's almost very like something that's feature rich. And because there's more and more features, the price gets higher and higher. But they're features that like nobody wants, nobody asks for, that people don't even use. And so it gets to the point, especially with an iterative product, it gets to the point where like because there are features that people don't want or use, and the price keeps going higher and higher for these features that nobody asks for, that they'd rather just keep like the base model or get the cheaper one or find a competitor that does what they want, that doesn't charge them for all of the stuff that they didn't ask for, that they don't want, don't need, and that they're not going to use. And so then it's like, oh, well, maybe now we should do some like market research and now we should start talking to the customers and maybe now we should like give it some kind of personality besides that. And it's not that modern things don't have personality, but like I watched a lot of House Hunters and there's like there either be people that's like I want something very modern, blah blah blah, or there's people like I want something with charm, something with personality, and usually like modern and personality and charm aren't the same. Like when you ask for charm and personality, you're asking for something. They're asking for something that's not modern. And so again, it's like at the point of catastrophic failure or nearing the point of catastrophic failure. Now it's like, well, maybe we can like pare down on the features. People are saying it's too expensive. Blah blah. It's like almost it's the energy of like things that would have been a good idea to do in the first place. And like that's the last line of defense, right? In this metaphor. I feel like beyond that, and it's so interesting. I don't even remember what I saw earlier. It's like there is the purpose of a thing also. Like there's the purpose of the thing, and then there's like what we want out of something, right? And so this feminine approach aligns with purpose, and this PIM approach aligns with like what we want. And so we try to what draw blood from a turnip or blood from a stone. And with a turnip, at least you might hallucinate that the red beet juice is like blood, but it's not. Anyway, let's keep going. Next card. We have Thor, God of Thunder. I know that Thor is a hero. So that's one for the heroes. Let me find the one. Oh gosh. There we go. Legendary creature, God, warrior, hero. Wait. Human warrior hero. So it did say hero. So we're actually at 2 for the heroes. All right, goodness. I'm assuming it'll say like villain if it's a villain. I was like, they don't even tell me if they're heroes or not. It literally said hero. So when Thor enters, exile target equipment, instant, or sorcery card from your graveyard. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. When you cast a non creature spell, Thor deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to any target. Interesting. He's the most powerful thing on the table. 5 toughness, 5 uh, power. He can break the wall because the wall is at 4 toughness, right? 0 power, 4 toughness. He's got enough to break the wall. Also, if you cast a spell with a non-creature spell with 4 mana or more, he could break the wall. Thor flies, so if the opponent doesn't have like reach or flying, he'd be out of reach. We got Mjolnir here. I feel like, oh, see, I started to grab 2 different pairs of dice. I could use the D12 and the D20. I grabbed 2 D10s because they're like even. I mean, we're already at 3 cards, so there's not going to be more than 12. I almost want to grab another pair to track like masculine and feminine presenting. I guess the D12 would be the masculine and the D20 will be the feminine because the 0 is a wound. How about it? I feel like I don't. I feel like it's fine. It feels like I don't know what's going on with Chino. Again, it feels like this new Kunlun warrior is behind the wall, or she can effortlessly go back and forth. And it feels like Thor again. Thor shows up to break this wall, but it very much reads that like lightning won't make a difference. Like if the wall can reflect lasers, then lightning won't make it through either. But Thor does have Mjolnir. He has the hammer, right? Excuse me. I don't know where we're going with this. I don't know if the hammer would shatter the wall or not. The lightning doesn't help. And so, like, if it's a spell or whatever, that won't help. It would have to be a direct hit from Thor. Okay, what's the next card? Next, we have Leader, Super Genius, which is a Gamma Scientist villain. We got our first villain. Put a 1 on the thing. Two heroes, one villain. If a creature you control would connive, instead you draw a card, then that creature connives. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control connives. And I guess that means draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded a non land card, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. This super genius, it would have to do a lot of conniving. It would have to do a lot of conniving. Two, it starts with one, it's a defense of four. You have to meet it or beat it, right? So it would have to connive 3 times to take down that wall. Also, like this super genius, it's a legendary creature. It seems like they're all legendary creatures. Okay, it's like it's that technological aspect. Like, does he not look like he belongs in PIM technologies? It's almost giving me. She's giving Loki. It's like giving Loki without saying Loki, right? If you have Thor literally right next to a conniving villain, who's more conniving than the trickster Loki himself? This is another for a masculine. See, because it's already established that the moloids hallucinate, I don't know if the conniving would. It depends, right? For the conniving to be successful, you would have to know that you're under the presence of an illusion, right? Otherwise, you're just like conniving in a like it's already illusory, imaginary. It's like already not the real thing. See, this would be that energy with that metaphor of like the sales or marketing, whatever. Like that would be like, oh, well, we just need to add more features. We'll just add more features and add more features. And because we're adding more features, we can charge more. Right. So not only are we recapturing the market by adding new features, but we're also increasing our profits because it's justified that we charge more. But again, it's like it's so far off from what anybody actually wants. It's not moving in the direction closer to the goal or to the customer. Ooh, is this a full art? We got the thing being grim. Legendary human hero. Is he human? Sorry, he is. Oh, that was rude. That was rude. I'm so sorry. Whenever one or more heroes you control deal damage to a player, put 2+1/+1 counters on the thing. Dude is already 7/7. So we got one more hero, right? We're at 3 heroes. Oh, well, kind of. 3 heroes and 3 masculine whatevers. Let me just make sure I'm a hello. Yep. And it has trample. So with trample, usually if an attack is blocked by a defender the excess damage is neutralized. But with trample, it still hits the life points, right? So the thing has 7, and let's say it's trying to destroy the wall. The wall has 4 defense, the thing has 7 attack. If it didn't have trample, that extra 3 would be neutralized. Because it has trample, the difference is taken out of the opponent's life. Now, the thing is, because again, so like we were talking about Thor's hammer, right? And it's like lightning isn't going to work. If Thor is going to break down the wall, he would have to do it with his hammer. Now, I feel like you can't really separate the lightning from Mjolnir. And because the wall at least partially reflects the light, it feels like, again, if we're talking about electromagnetic sort of forces or whatever, like the wall would have a repulsive effect, like it would repulse or repel, right? And again, it's like you can't separate Mjolnir from lightning, even if it's not sort of sheathed in it or wreathed in lightning. And so it's like the repulsive effect of the wall would halt Mjolnir's momentum, right? And it's almost like the more moment, like the harder you try to swing Mjolnir, the stronger that repulsive force. And so, because Mjolnir was ineffective, then we send in like the thing, right? Now, the thing about the thing is, and again, I guess I'm getting into my RPG D&D bag a little bit. This wall, because Mjolnir is ineffective, it's like it's almost like you would think that Mjolnir is ineffective because of that repulsive effect, right? But I'm gathering. I could be wrong. We'll see. We still got more cards to pull. It's like the wall resists bludgeoning damage, right? So basically you would have to slash it or poke it, right? You would have to thrust like a spear or a javelin, or you would have to slash it with a sword, hammers, fists, batons, anything that like would concuss would be ineffective. Now, the damage has to be dealt to a player, meaning you would have to get past the wall. The thing has trample, but the thing is the only thing with trample. Thor has flying, but you can see that the wall is a dome, right? It's very like it's a dome. So you can't fly over the wall and whatever. It's like 360 degrees of protection. And again, I feel like the thing is like it's fine. There's like some kind of hallucination here. I feel like it's one of those things where like when you get to the end of it, it's like, oh, like there's some kind of EMF, EMP, some kind of electromagnetic whatever. Light is bent, lightning is neutralized or repelled. Because of that repulsive force, the momentum of a swinging Mjolnir is arrested. And it's also like the way that the wall is constructed, it spreads impacts, right? So unless it's strong enough to bring down the whole thing, it's not going to do anything. And I feel it's almost this like, again, there's a lot of conniving that happens with that super genius. And the super genius, the leader is a villain, first of all, if that tell you anything. It's like with, and again, that was the whole point with the conniving. It's like if you're conniving under a hallucination or under an illusion, it's not gonna. It feels like if you were to jump to the end, like they would realize it was all a hallucination, and that's why like nothing could break the wall. Or maybe it's one of those like the wall was never a physical wall to be broken. I don't know. It's taking me back to that like dwarven magic energy where it's like the container, like the bag is a container, is a vessel. It can contain anything, even the sound of the wind or a feeling, right? And so I almost like what is the thing about the wall? The wall is a boundary. I guess the wall is a few things. It's a boundary, it's a barrier that separates the inside from the outside. I don't, it's like because there's the wall that's the boundary, like the Great Wall of China, right? Like any kind of border. But then it's like if you arrange four walls, then you create a house or a home or an enclosure. I don't know. Anyway, let's just keep going. Next, we have Arnim Zola, a biofanatic scientist villain. All the villains are scientists. All of the villains are scientists. Pym Technologies was the villain, even though Hank Pym is a hero. I mean, it's giving masculine. She could be feminine. A legendary artifact creature. So we got one more for the villains, two for the villains, three for the heroes. Yeah, we'll make it four. Why not? Where's four? This, I mean, Arnim Zola. Don't that look like? So for 3 mana, you can tap to create a tapped 2/1 toughness black villain creature token with menace. Active Activate only if there are two or more creature cards in your graveyard. You are not the only one who found a way to live across the ages, Captain America. Ooh, spoilers. You are not the only one who found a way to live across the ages. So again, the wall. There's like the metaphor of the sales thing, which is like the metaphor that we're like using, that I'm using to try to explain this. But there's an interpretation that is also where again, like the wall is kind of like the veil, and that feminine intuitive energy is the front door that acts as a back door. And all of these masculine energies are different ways to kind of like, it's like logic and reasoning, it's ritual, it's trying to brute force one's way into whatever it is. I almost want to say like false equivalencies and associations. And so it's like, with the electromagnetic energy of Thor, it's almost like a vibration thing, right? If you can vibrate high enough, then that'll give you access. If you can, and the reason why I mentioned ritual is because it's ritual in a very pragmatic exchange. Like if you do this and that and these other things, then there's some kind of obligation for something to happen, right? So, for example, let's say that again, we're using the framework that we got. I'm using the framework that is the thing that my brain is like latched onto. Like, is it this? Does this framework work? So it's almost like, let's say, because again, the intuition and the feminine energy is the front door that acts as a back door. And it makes sense in this context, right? Where it's like almost very, even with the Hierophant or Hierophantic energies, it's hyper masculinized, even with like creativity and intuitive approaches by and large. It feels like there's a masculine exchange, like this for that, quid pro quo type, whatever. Or again, there's this like threshold. If you can hit this frequency, then like this other thing will like happen, right? Almost like a lock and key type thing. So it's almost like, let's say someone were to have observed a feminine energy doing whatever, and to the outside observer, it looks like ritual. Maybe it is a ritual for her, but the ritual, it's almost like there's something that the ritual honors. It's not just a flat exchange, right? So if you see feminine energy put, I don't know, an orange on an altar, and then abundance comes her way or whatever, and so you think it's a ritual, like if you put an orange on an altar, specific orange, specific altar, then abundance will find you. But it's like, it's not the ritual that awards the abundance. It's some kind of relationship or intuitive, like some kind of relationship or agreement. And the placing of the orange on the altar is like the honoring of that agreement. It's not, again, like it's not a lock and key. It's not a secret code. It's not a, if you knock two times, pause, and then knock three times, that's like the secret knock, and then the door will just open. And then again, like you have this energy of hallucination. Like there's a hallucination of things working or a hallucination of things progressing. And the thing about the hallucination, it's almost like, especially for the masculine approach to this energy, it's almost one of those. I know opportunity makes a thief and absolute power corrupts absolutely were two phrases that came up last time that I said. I don't necessarily particularly like, I recognize that there is truth in them, but I don't sort of hail them as absolutes, right? Not every person who has the opportunity is going to become a thief or is going to choose to steal something. And so to say opportunity makes a thief is incorrect, because opportunity didn't make anything. Opportunity was just the road that someone took to do what they were already going to do or would have already done. Just like absolute power corrupts absolutely, there are people, theoretically, theoretically, there are people in positions of power, even like more power or absolute power, who don't become corrupt. So to say that absolute power corrupts absolutely is incorrect. Absolute power, opportunity, those are just the conditions through which someone expresses their truth. It's the environment in which their authentic self comes to the light. I feel like authentic self and truth is a little harsh because there are a lot of like conditional whatever when you're living a life on planet Earth. But still, like there are people who are in vulnerable positions. It's like there are people in positions not to necessarily make it comparative because it's not necessarily comparative, but there are people in positions that are worse than the thieves who thief at the opportunity or the people who a little bit of power just gets them on a whole power trip. And right, there's always quote unquote someone worse who would quote unquote do better or different. So anyway, now we're back here where under this illusion or under this hallucination, it's almost like one of those absolute power corrupts absolutely types of things, but the person doesn't actually have the power that they think they have because it's a hallucination. It's an illusion. And again, it's like if you were to watch it as like a TV show or a movie or something, it's like the person would be on this whole power trip and they become like literally the worst person you've ever encountered. The illusion, the hallucination is broken. They come to their senses and they're like, oh, like I wouldn't do that for real. Like I'm not really like that. And it's like even though like even though it was a hallucination or what, like you thought you had whatever, like it doesn't have to be real to see what somebody would do, right? So even kind of sort of with that whole like matrix whatever, it's like even if life on earth is a simulation, even if it is the matrix, it's like, well, if this is what you would do in a simulation or in a matrix, who's to say what you would do in real life, right? It's like you can't even necessarily be bothered to care when you have nothing to lose, when there's nothing on the line, when it's all made up, or like you can't even pretend to care. I don't have anything to drink. I'm like, I need a drink. I need to calm down. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's like there's a lot of conniving, there's a lot of bargaining, there's a lot like brute force, a thought that some kind of like birthright or vibration, power, whatever would be the whatever. Again, we still got like half one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So we should have, I think, seven more cards. Let's keep going. Let's see. The next card is the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, who is a human hero. I know John. Well, I know of Johnny Storm. I know that Chris Evans. It's fine. So the Human Torch flies. Whenever you draw a card, if you control another hero, Human Torch deals one damage to target opponent. Power up. So for 6 mana plus a fire, you can put 3+1/+1 counters on the Human Torch. So that'll take him to +5/+5. With those 3+1/+1 counters, he'll be as powerful as Thor, who also can deal damage to an opponent based on special circumstances and situations. Again, so apparently the Fantastic Four are in these like full art type whatever. Like there's no black border around the card like all of the other cards. Oh, I didn't pull these all out of order. That's fine. Here we go. See, like, what is this energy of remove? Whenever you draw a card, if you control another hero, Human Torch deals 1 damage to target opponent. Now, is there a synergy between the Human Torch and the Thing? Where, because the Human Torch can deal 1 damage to a target opponent if you draw a card while you control a hero. And the Thing, whenever one or more heroes you control deal damage to a player, you get to put 2+1/+1 counters on the Thing. Yeah, it was the super genius. If a creature you control would connive, instead you draw a card, then that creature connives. So here you get to draw a card before you connive. When you draw a card, if you control a hero, you deal 1 damage. That's what it was. And that's a villain's ability. So you have to control another hero, but work with the villain under this current like scheme of whatever. Now it's interesting that the wall is earth or water. And both Thor and the Thing, sorry, both Thor and the Human Torch are fire. The Thing is earth. Oh, wait, did I move these? I don't think I did. So there's another hero, the fourth hero, and the fifth masculine energy. Out of all the heroes and villains so far, we got 1 feminine energy, 5 masculine energies. Excuse me. Oh, the thing about time. So that's why. So there's the metaphor that we're working with, and then there's the impression. Right. The impression is one of the veil and spirituality, and how a lot of our approaches can kind of like try to strong arm divine energies, or it's a very like calculated, again, like with the anesthetic and the aesthetic, it's a very modern, cold, sharp, angular, monochromatic, right? Like if you do this, that will happen. If you want abundance, then say affirmations or vibrate at this frequency and listen to this, these tones at this frequency or whatever. It's almost like it takes the journey out of the journey, TM. It takes living life out of living life, and it tries to like not, but it does kind of like try to shortcut jump you right to the end, right? Like there's none of the character development and all that other stuff. It's all very just like do this and say that, and then you'll be fine and you'll get everything that you would ever want. And again, with the energy of the hallucination, it's like there is some growth, there is some development, but in a Santa Clausy type of way. If you're being good because you don't want coal on Christmas, then you're not being good for goodness sake. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why Santa Claus is coming to town. So be good for goodness sake. It's like, well, how can you tell kids to be good for goodness sake when you're in the same breath saying that if you're good, Santa will bring you everything that you want for Christmas? So they're being good so that they can get presents on Christmas. They're not being good because it's not that they aren't good and that not that they wouldn't be, but it's like it confuses or conflates the motivations and it makes everything all entangled and weird. And the changes, it's almost like their depth gets undercut with the promise of something external. And like that's that sort of like masculine approach and this ritual brute force trying to manipulate energetic, spiritual forces, whatever, rather than journeying for the sake of the journey, healing for the sake of healing, intuiting, discerning, getting close to the divine, cultivating that connection for the sake of cultivating the connection. It's very much like all of the people that are nice to the rich person because like they want something. And then the rich person's like, I don't really have any friends. People are just like, my friends are my friends because of what they can get out of me type energy. And so no one ever tells me the truth. No one ever, like, whatever. They all just sort of do and say what they think they need to do and say to get something out of me type energy. And so again, it's like that's why the feminine energy that is like journeying for the sake of journey, healing for the sake of healing, growing closer to the divine for the sake of like deepening that connection with no motivations and no external conditions sort of set as the barometer of closeness or distance or strength of the connection or relative good standing or whatever. Like that's why it's the front door, but it feels like a back door, right? Because the front door is smiling, doing like saying and doing whatever you got to say and do to get something out of the person. But it's like, you should, like a real friend or a real person of interest would get to know them as a person beyond their things and beyond the material, right? So that like that's the front door. Like you get to know somebody. That's not a back door, but it almost reads as one because of what the approach to that energy is. We don't even need the metaphor. I didn't. Yeah, it's fine. Again, that's the impression. That's been the impression since it was just the wall. Honestly, with the wall and that moloid, and again, it's like it I don't know. Anyway, I guess in that sense, this Human Torch is interesting because it's giving the magician heavenly fire is water on earth, and so it's someone that immolates themselves. They set themselves on fire. But again, it's almost like because you know what someone's end goal is, or because someone is in the energy of gaining rather than growing, gaining something from someone or something rather than growing closer with and to someone or something, because it's in the energy of gaining instead of growing, it's like you can see it for the performance that it is. And maybe that's the thing about self immolation. Like it's not sustainable. right? Like if someone glows because they're naturally radiant and the light radiates from the inside out, it may look like they're wreathed in fire. And we did just see the Ten of Fire in the Dreams of Gaia Tarot. On the other side of some card that I don't remember, I know the Ten of Fire was there. Um, like you would think it's like because the person looks like they're wreathed in fire, then it's like if you set yourself on fire, then you would think that there's some kind of like that there would be some kind of like recognition or something. But the difference is when it radiates from the inside out, you're not like literally burning yourself. You know what I mean? And it feels like this self immolation is only sustainable for so long. Eventually, like the skin is going to blister. And it's almost like, because again, there's a hallucination. And this could be a point when our own perspective, experience, whatever plays into the whatever, right? So, depending on circumstances, like if we have to self emulate in order to appear to be a certain way and it's not comfortable, it's not sustainable, it's painful, but we put it on because we're great showmen. Also, we're in Leo season now, but the South Node is in Leo. So we just had the full moon Aquarius. Yeah, we just had the full moon Aquarius. Um, it's almost like because we self immolate, we would assume that other radiant beings also self immolate. So when it gets to be too painful for us, and we're like, okay, like, we're cool, we're besties, we took this, like, we have navigated from strangers to acquaintances to at least buddies, compatriots, maybe friends. It's like, okay, like, you can take the mask off, like we can douse ourselves with water, like we can turn the flames off because like it's getting hot. That protective layer that I put on before I set myself on fire, it only lasts for 6 to 8 hours, and it's been 10 hours. And it's but like for the other person, for the other energy, like it's authentic. So there is no, it's always on because it just is what it is. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that, if not intentional, I feel like intentional or not, it doesn't matter. It's just like oh, right? Anyway, that's very much an appear to be. It appears to be something rather than being something. Next card. Zatanna is DC. I guess She Hulk is Marvel. I'm like, who's the Wasp is Marvel? Um, Jean Grey. I'm like, I don't know. Heroes. I don't. It's fine. Next card we have Murdoch's Crusade. Oh snap! Not Matt Murdock, the Daredevil. So teamwork 4. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may tap any number of creatures you control with total power 4 or more. So choose one. If this spell was cast using teamwork, choose both instead. So you have Street Justice and Legal Justice. Street Justice, exile target creature with toughness 4 or greater. So you can choose Street Justice to try to exile the wall. Legal Justice, exile target enchantment with mana value 4 or greater. We don't have any enchantments on the table. This is our first sorcery. Literally everything else is land or creature. It has one, I guess technically a 2 mana cost. So if you play this, well, I think it said it has to be a spell. This is a sorcery and not a spell. You can exile it. Oh, they're his glasses. See, I feel like this card, especially Matt Murdock. Now, this is a sorcery. Matt Murdock is a. Is he a hero? Is he a villain? I feel like he's technically a hero, but he toes the line. I feel like this is just like it's revealing, especially as we're like sort of talking about all this, right? As we've gotten this far, it's almost that like, well, I tried to play nice. Now, instead of winning your heart and you writing me into your will, I'm gonna have to come up with some whole conniving, scheming plan where you wrong me and I sue you and I still get your money. Like I could have taken everything from you in the friendly way, but now it's like, why couldn't you just be dumb and oblivious? What did she say? I'm listening to this audiobook series because I'm always watching and or listening to something. If I'm not having a dream. There was a sacrificial, there was this group of women, right? And there was one woman who was seen as like baggage, dead weight, whatever. So they were going to, hey, Crystal, I in practice, I don't. I don't know. Kind of. I feel like in practice, no, I don't. Um, I read for the people that I read for, and I feel like, especially these days, I don't do it very often at all. Um, but also, it's fine. No, for all intents and purposes, I do not. But I hope you find what you need. Okay, so again, it's almost this like, well, we could have done it the easy way, but now we have to do it the hard way type of. And see, the thing about street justice and legal justice, neither one of these is like major arcana justice energy. No problem. I feel like I don't even necessarily like my capacity right now is not there. It could, no. So with street justice and legal justice, like neither one of those are like justice energy, right? With street justice is very vigilante. Again, that's very like, oh, like we're gonna teach you a lesson because you're not playing by the rules of whatever the rules are, right? And with legal justice, it's very like loopholes, it's set up. On one hand, there is some credence to it. On the other hand, it's very easy for certain folks to exploit. Neither one of those is actual justice. And again, it feels like it tries to play on some kind of entitlement, right? It's like, well, I did the ritual, my vibration is whatever, I've done the manifestations, I've done everything that everything told me to do. Where is my whatever, right? Like, I went to your ballet recital and I was there for you when whatever. Like, I feel like I'm entitled to at least half of your fortune. Like, I feel like I've done enough. And it's like, I thought you showed up because you were my friend and you wanted to. It's transactional and it's like thinly veiled. But again, like there's this hallucination or illusion that in this case, like masculine energy is operating under, where they really feel like they're selling the performance. But again, it's very like it's so thinly veiled that something is being used for a certain purpose and goal in mind, that it's like the only person under the illusion or whatever is the masculine, in this case, masculine energy doing whatever. Like they really think they're Meryl Streep up there, really selling the performance where you can't differentiate the actor from the character. And it's like, it's night and day. You know what I mean? Like you're obviously acting. You're obviously not like this in real life. Like I can see your skin literally blistering. If you were that, like if you were that radiant whatever, your skin wouldn't be blistering. You know what I mean? Type energy. Anyway, I can't believe Matt Murdock really came out. Murdoch's Murdoch's Crusade. You got Sophie's Choice and Murdoch's Crusade. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. It's like, okay, Murdoch, you lose both ways, but it's fine. I really didn't expect this. Next card, we have Atlantis Attacks. Ooh, which is another sorcery. Murdoch's Crusade, thought they doing whatever. And then Atlantis Attacks. Teamwork 4, another teamwork. Teamwork 4. So choose one. If the spell was cast using teamwork, choose both instead. Wait, sorceries are spells, right? Yeah, yeah. So it would trigger. Thor would deal 1 damage. Would it be 1 or 2? Technically, it has a mana cost of 2 because it's 1 mana plus the basic mana. So Thor would deal 2 damage. Well, here with Atlantis Attacks, we got 5 mana plus 2 water. 5 mana plus 2 water on Atlantis Attacks with this giant coming out of the water versus the 1 mana, 1 basic. It ain't even light, it's just basic from Murdoch's Crusade. Imagine being on Murdoch's Crusade thinking you about to do something, and then literally all of Atlantis just like rises out of the ocean and they just like obliterate everything. I feel like I still didn't talk about this. Uh, you are not the only one who found a way to live across the ages, Captain America. Like that with this mixture of Atlantis with Atlantis Attacks, it feels like there's what Atlantis was, and then there's what we think Atlantis was type energy. Right? Like there was whatever actual Atlantis was, and then there's like the narrative of what Atlantis was. So again, but this person ain't even intact. He ain't even human no more. He didn't sacrifice all of his biology and anatomy to preserve himself in this artificial whatever. When Cap was frozen, he was freeze dried. So he's still intact, fully biological. He got that serum in him, but I feel like if there were any male hero that could get down with the feminine energy low key, I feel like it would be Captain America. I feel like Bucky Barnes has that like Buck could lift Mjolnir. I'm pretty I feel like again, I am Marvel DC basically illiterate, but I feel like there was a case in which Captain America did wield Mjolnir, and I could ask. Let's just do a quick Google. Now, if Cap comes out, then we'll actually Captain America Mjolnir. Mjolnir. Captain America famously wields Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, during the climax of the 2019 Marvel Cinematic Universe film Avengers Endgame to battle Thanos. Like, Endgame was huge, and I didn't even know that. I was like, in the comics, I think it happened. It happened in the movie, too, apparently. Yeah. So, there you go. That was something else. So, Atlantis Attacks. We have so choose one. If the spell was cast using teamwork, choose both instead. Target player creates a 6/5 blue Leviathan creature token with hexproof, or return one or two target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Total power of 4 or more. I feel like so far, as of yet, we only got one card, and she has power 2. So if we get another one, well, I feel like this Atlantis attack was triggered. Teamwork only gives both. And you know what's interesting about this is that this is water. And it's interesting because, again, operating under the Hermetic Magician, Heavenly Fire is water on earth. There was the self immolation of Johnny Storm to make himself appear to be some kind of whatever, because that's what you would think, right? If it's fire in heaven and you want to get to the other side of the veil of the wall, then you have to like mirror the whatever. But it's actually water that rises from the depths to defend, squash, whatever Murdoch's crusade is. And it low key, throughout the process of just like reading this, Atlantis attacks feels like a mercy. It is overwhelming force. It is a crushing, resounding defeat. It's very Five of Swords energy, but that Five of Swords is a mercy. Because if Atlantis didn't attack, then whatever wall guard, veil guard energy would come and do something. And that's what we don't want. That's what we don't want. Even if we think we want it, we don't. Right. In the world of play stupid games, win stupid prizes, that's a prize that is so dumb that no matter how stupid we are, we would never, ever, ever, ever want to win. And so again, this event, it feels like mercy, which is an interesting energy. Also, oh yeah, because there was the giant, right? If this spell was cast, you can the 6/5 blue Leviathan with hexproof, it's hexproof. It would destroy everything on the board except for the thing. But with that other effect, you can return the thing, like you can unmake the thing. Next card, we have Kree Commandos, which are Kree soldier villains. So we are at three villains, three villains, four heroes. I mean, again, wait, no, because I'm like, are the Kree the ones that shapeshift, or are they scrolls? I know there's like a Kree and a scroll, or is it skull or scroll? Obviously, I don't know nothing. Because I know there are some that shapeshift. So I'm like, is this feminine, masculine? Doesn't matter. Flying and vigilance. It has prowess. Whenever you cast a non creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. The Kree Empire has existed for millennia. With each world it conquers, it finds new ways to fight. Because this one looks like bootleg Batman. I mean, I guess that could be somebody else. It has like one fin down the middle instead of two bat ears. For some reason, she's giving bootleg Batman. I think these are the shapeshifters. I could be wrong. We're treating them as the shapeshifters. And so, because of that, I could add one to both the masculine and the feminine, but I don't think I'll add one to either. Plus, they're aliens. Like, it's not that they don't have any skin in the game, but it's like they're an external force. And because of this, it feels, um, it feels, what's that word? Opportunistic, right? It's almost like if there's already unrest, then they come in to like exacerbate things and to take advantage, to exacerbate things and to lift things in the chaos of everything. As a complete aside, it's not necessarily relevant to this at all. I've just been like curious, right? So in the ET star seed of it all, I feel like you hear about the Galactic Federation, and it's always confused me because in the Milky Way galaxy, like all of these ET starseed races, like none of them are within our galaxy. So why is it the Galactic Federation? You know what I mean? And I feel like the only way that my brain can make sense of a galactic federation is if it's like a bunch of outsiders that have somehow put themselves in a position or find themselves in a position to make it's like to hail over the galaxy, because again, like none of them are from here. The closest ones are the Andromedans, and the Andromedans are in the Andromeda galaxy. Like that's a whole other galaxy. It's not the Universal Federation, like the United Nations, where a lot of different nations are represented. You know what I mean? It's like if there was a United Nations, but again, it's like all ETs, and it's like y'all aren't even a part of this Earth galaxy to like, you know what I mean? Like maybe like a parent teacher association, but no, it's not even that. I don't know how to describe it or define it. It just, again, it never made sense to me unless it's like a governing body. It governs the galaxy, but they're not actually from this galaxy. And then it's like one of those very like, okay, well, like who, why do you have a say in what happens over here if you ain't even got no skin in the game? Right? It's like a women's health, whatever, but everyone on the board is a man. And not only are they men, but they're men that don't recognize the autonomy of women or even the basic, like, anatomical, physiological health and well being of a woman. You know what I mean? It's very like, it's weird. Anyway, that was an aside. But again, something about this Kree commander, Kree energy. The Kree Empire has existed for millennia. With each world it conquers, it finds new ways to fight. But again, it something about it feels opportunistic. Maybe there's a lack of cohesion, and again, it's like it exacerbates chaos, and it comes in, and maybe that's one of the new ways they learned how to fight. You let the natives take each other out, and then you don't have to do a whole whatever to get the resources from that planet. At that point, you basically just go in and claim it. Anyway, it's something I think about, not necessarily extremely often, but enough. Because again, it never made sense to me. Like it's the Galactic Federation, but none of the starseed races represented are actually from this galaxy. So shouldn't it be like an intergalactic federation where there are different galaxies that, whatever, unless we don't have a say in our own whatever. Which, if you think about it, would kind of make sense. It's almost like this terror again, like with isn't that what they do? And like I haven't seen Secret Wars, but I used to watch new rock stars videos. I would watch Eric Voss and the team talk about Marvel stuff I've never seen. Because I don't know, I just like watching him and his take on, as someone who like is familiar with the source material and who watches the movies. You know what I mean? Uh, but again, like, isn't that kind of what they did or do in Secret Wars or whatever? They disguise themselves as locals, and then they just like take over from the inside or stoke the flames and then rule the rebel type energy. Anyway, and again, like with the hallucinations, see, I feel like within this framework, that takes advantage of the hallucination because it's like, oh, I feel like this got kind of tricky. Like if someone is having an episode, right? Or because of what's going on, but we see that so often. I'm sure it happens in real life and in movies where like someone's in a vulnerable position. They've literally hit rock bottom, their back is against the wall, and so they're going to do something that they wouldn't do under ordinary circumstance, but life don't always give us options and choices. Sometimes we got to do what we got to do. And then it's like some person that comes in with some kind of like deal or offer to take advantage of someone in a vulnerable position. Like if it were a heist or something, they would lift the goods and leave the main person who was in that vulnerable situation to take the fall. And at that point, it's kind of like, well, they did do it, or they were planning on doing it, so they weren't innocent. But the real bad guy got away. Not that there's necessarily good guys and bad guys, but again, it's like I saw back in the day when I was early in this journey. Oh, there's the food done text. Back in the day when I was early in this journey and I was just consuming things, kind of just to see what's out there. I saw some kind of something on Amazon and they were like, it's these like ETs that are coming and they're doing things to people that are like unconscionable. And I feel like whenever I hear, sometimes when I hear people talk about like archons or like these other like shadow government, shadowy people, I feel like there's so much like affront and almost outrage at the thought of non-human entities doing things to humans, but when it's humans doing it to humans, then it's like it's like that, it doesn't translate sometimes. And it's like, how are you mad at Billy for doing this to Sally, when Bob is doing it to Sue and you don't have a problem with it. And so when it like it's almost like if you allow something to happen or be done, or if you're dispassionate or you ignore it or you don't care, it's like it's consenting in a way. Maybe in some energetic karmic way. That's consent. And it doesn't change depending on who the perpetrator is. But again, going back to legal justice and exploit how easily it can be exploited, or how in some cases it's set up to be exploited in certain ways, where it's like it's almost, I don't know. It just, to me, it was like I see that and I hear whatever, and I'm like, well, people do it to people. And if we do it to one another, then in the cosmic major arcana court of justice or whatever, why would the ruling be any different type energy? Like, how do we get here with the Kree commander and this? Right? It's like someone stole from me, and it's like, okay, well, you stole from somebody else. And then a lot of times, at least in the movies, when it's like, oh, well, like if you really want to get the law involved, then you're going to have to go on trial too, because what was stolen from you, you stole from somebody else. And in the media, it's like people choose silence or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, I guess I won't say anything because I don't want to go, I don't want to be held liable for what I've done. And so I don't know. Anyway, it's like it's weird and it's advantageous and it don't make sense to me anyway. That was an aside. We'll just keep going. Next card is AIM scientist, human scientist villains. Why are all of the scientists villains? We got the scientist villain of Arnhem Zola, biofanatic. We got the leader, super genius, gamma scientist villain. Where's the Tony Stark? Where is Tony? Where's Tony? Where is Reed Richards? You know what I mean? When this creature enters, it connives. Here's somebody that connives. So to connive is to draw a card and then discard a card. If you discarded a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. Basic land cycling. So for 2 mana, you can discard this card and then search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle. The tagline here is Science Demands Sacrifice. Not the AOL Instant Messenger scientists. Who are these? Science Demands Sacrifice. See, this, especially coming off of that Kree commander, that just made things so weird. Because that's very like, this is like secret deals, right? At first, with the Kree, it was like almost the energy of this. I want to say, ooh, supplication. Supp- I know supplantation ain't a word. Like it was a secret thing that nobody knew about. And then at the end of everything, they reveal themselves. And you'll see Kree on both sides. Because again, it wasn't necessarily, it's like it reaches a point where it was just to stoke the flames. But with this AIM scientist, science requires sacrifice energy. Like that's consent to something. That's like a, you know, we agree. It can go beyond, like, we agree to look the other way while you're doing something wrong too. We will supply you with. It's like a trade. We'll trade this for some technology, for some information, for a little bit of access. And it's very much like they didn't sell whatever. It's like they did, but more than they sold whatever, they sold themselves. More than they sacrificed whatever, they sacrificed themselves. And there's a layer here. And again, where it feels like it takes advantage of the hallucination or it takes advantage of distance or whatever. It's like making a deal with the devil to try to get into heaven. And then it's like, after you do whatever, and you're like trying to get whatever from devil energy, and devil energy is like, heaven's not going to take you. Hello? Like, do you know what you've done? You thought you were sacrificing others, you sacrificed yourself type energy. And it's like, what? But I did, and you said, and it's like, it's one of those like, when you're watching it, the betrayal is obvious. When you're watching it, it's like you're obviously not going to do or get into whatever because you're already breaking. Like, you've avoided your opportunity to take advantage of certain legitimate entry channels by doing this. You've just guaranteed yourself a lifetime ban to whatever. And it's like, where's the disconnect? And so, especially when you get somebody on like Murdoch's crusade, girl, where they think it's street justice, legal justice, this Cree energy will come in and it will plot, plan, and promise all kinds of stuff. It's just like, again, with that energy of like, look at what you consent to. Why would we think it's any different when something happens to us? There is case after case, circumstance after circumstance, situation after situation. The precedent is well set for folks who cast aside, didn't care when it came to other people. But then when they find themselves on the receiving end of something, all of a sudden it's an injustice and it's intolerable or intolerable and something should be done. And it's like, when you consented and were complicit, you forfeited any claim to whatever. And I feel like it's one of those, like, we don't really forfeit the claim, but we're not going to put ourselves on trial either. And so we kind of do, right? It's one of those, oh, well, you were involved. And it's like, I don't care. I'm still going to the police. They can lock me up too. We'll both go. How about that type energy? You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't do that. So that's when things just kind of continue. Sometimes, somebody will take a plea deal or whatever, and they'll, you know, snitch. So we got some more villains. So we're at 4 villains now. Oops. All the villains are scientists, right? No, not all of them. We got the Kree commanders and 3 scientists. I mean, since they're just scientists, I know we made the other scientists masculine energies. I feel like this is a collection of scientists, just like there were a collection of Kree. So I'm not going to add one to either the masculine or feminine as they're depicted because it feels like it's both. See, that sacrifice and that compromise, that's the, again, it's like even if everything is just an illusion, even if it is just the matrix, even if it is just a simulation, as people, individuals, entities, energies that are incarnated in this simulation, like, and again, it's like there's just certain things that don't make sense to me. And I feel like maybe this is it. My North Node is in Sagittarius, so it's trying in all this Leo energy. But it's like again, like there's the narrative of star seeds and the 144,000 people that are incarnated on this earth to make life on earth better. And so to me, it's like if you believe you're a star seed that's incarnated on this earth to raise the vibration and make life better, and you believe that this is a simulation, a matrix, it's not real, whatever, then it's like, well, like the two things to me aren't mutually exclusive. So it's like if you believe that you're a star seed that's 144,000 sent here to make life better, then it's akin to like believing that you're like you got plugged into the matrix, you get plugged into the simulation to make life better for the people in the simulation. So like wouldn't you still be doing something? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that what Neo and them did? They made it out of the Matrix, but they plugged back into the Matrix to help do whatever. They didn't plug back into the Matrix and then immediately just be like, okay, plug me out, or okay, I'm not going to do anything. It's like at that point, what's the point of incarnating? What's the point of plugging in? What's the like? Not why are you here, but like, what's the point if you're not actually going to do anything? Type energy to me, and I feel like not that there's necessarily a direct correlation, but I feel like from my vantage point and viewpoint, there was a lot of, again, that energy of like the things that we consent to. There's a lot of like empathy and care and personhood that is denied to a lot of people. And then the world waxes in ways sometimes where it's like cold and cruel. And you didn't or don't see any better from certain spiritual or religious communities. And they're the ones supposed to be like connected. Like, it's almost like if someone's getting bullied on the playground and you could like go get a teacher, but you choose not to. And so the bullying gets worse, and there's like more and more violence and beat up people and whatever, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's like this. And it's like, well, you could have went to go get you could have done anything. Type energy. And again, it's wild because sometimes that's where we'll be while also expecting closeness, proximity for the divine to grow near or close to transit the veil or what. It's like, how do we go close to the divine when we can't even be bothered to care about, you know what I mean? Especially when we claim that that's the reason why we incarnated. I incarnated to make a difference. But when it comes down to it, I'm not going to do anything. Not only am I not going to do anything, I'm going to willingly choose to ignore and silence reality or the state of the thing that I believe I was incarnated here to change or make different. And it's like, in what world? Maybe the hallucination is self induced. In the Marvel heroes, I am Patrick is the villain. I don't know. I feel like, you get to a certain point of when you're okay with being the villain where you like come full circle and you're like, I'm not the villain. You know what I mean? Even if I am the villain in someone's story, I'm not, well, in general. You know what I mean? Next card, we have the Unliving Legionnaire, which is a vampire villain. Power up for 7 mana, 2 of which are dark. Return up to 1 target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature. Activate each power up ability only once. Reduce the cost by its mana cost if it entered this turn. This Unliving Legionnaire, again, it's not giving me masculine or feminine. It's unliving. I feel like, it'd be hard to say. But we do get another villain. And this villain is unliving, unfeeling, uncaring. They talk, it's fine. See, but again, that feels like that masculine energy. It's almost like bargaining, rituals, all this other stuff. It feels like this unliving legionnaire is the answer to the AIM scientists. Right? Science requires sacrifice. Again, in that, like, we're doing this for that reason and all of this. And it's like, again, with that whole, like, playing the game by Devil Energy's rules and expecting quote unquote heaven. It's very like pick sci-fi scientists were doing this in the name of that, and they opened a portal and unleashed something upon the earth. It's like, girl, the unliving legionnaire. So now, not only do you got the Kree, you also got this unliving energy that's just like, and so Kree's like, we about to pack it up in GTFO because we can't take nothing unliving with us. If if the unliving legionnaire pops up on a planet, you burn it, you incinerate it, you keep it from spreading. Type energy. It's like in that one series I listened to that I think I might go back to. Like, give it a second re-listen. You have like apocalypse beasts, and there are some of them that's like at that point you just pull away from the planet, and either you leave it in isolation or you burn it. You can't take anything from that. The thing about unlife is that unlife like spreads. There's no way to contain unlife. So in kind of like in the metaphor of the business, right? Let's say that they have a new venture, but they've completely tanked trust in their company. So it doesn't matter what they try to do. next or how they try to recover at that point. Anything and everything that's associated with them, it's marked. People aren't going to buy because it's almost like, last time. It's like if you ain't do right the first time, type. It's like a stain or some kind of mark that just spreads to everything. And it's like when we are entitled, so entitled, it's almost like we're incapable of being good for goodness sake at that point. Our motivation, it's just gone, man. It's gone. Imagine if this was the divine has abandoned us. Any semblance of connection is an illusion. We are God's. That's that. We ain't even got to go all the way there. It doesn't feel universal, and it doesn't even necessarily feel permanent, but it's just so almost like hard to come back from, because those it's like those motivations will always be there. And even if like we try to genuinely connect or whatever, that entitlement is gonna be there. It's like, but I was nice to you. I did this and I did that without any whatever or whatever. And it's like, well, if that were really the case, you wouldn't feel some kind of entitlement to whatever. I don't know. We got two cards left. Let's just keep going. We have the Crimson Operative, which is a human villain. We have a non-scientist villain. Yay. And it's also the sixth villain. So the villains get some kind of bonus something. So it also has prowess. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. When this creature enters, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. The flavor text says, I think you will find the latest version of my armor particularly impressive. Crimson Dynamo, Dimitri Buckheron? Or Buchanan? Karen. I think you'll find the latest version of my armor particularly impressive. See, y'all know when the Kree commander came out, and immediately after that, it was the AIM scientists, and I was like, this is reading like science requires sacrifice. They done if you give us this or if you give us that, then we'll whatever. So the unliving legionnaire, instead of it being, it's almost like a mental, emotional entity rather than a physical one. And it was born through that sacrifice. It's almost like a person. It's like again, once it's and it's not. It's more characteristic of people than it is an absolute. But it's like once we make one sacrifice or one compromise, it's very like a snowball effect. We make more and more and more and more. It's like a person who started thieving because they needed it, but then their situations and their circumstances changed, but they kept stealing anyway. Or it's like, how we can just keep pushing the line until it snaps or until it breaks. This is the fruit of that sacrifice. And if there were any heroes on the table, they're villains now. That Thor, the Thing, Human Torch. And it's crimson. Why crimson? It's the color of blood. Is blood crimson? I don't think. I feel like you could see stuff like a crimson whatever. I mean, yeah, we'll just say it is. It's the color of the sacrifice. What is it? What good does it do for a man to gain the world but lose his soul? Is that the something like that? I mean, I guess at that point you just make the best of your life on earth. Wasn't there a clip? Aren't there like multiple clips of someone saying that they're not making it to the good place? So it's almost like, well, hey, I know that this is as good as it's gonna get for me. So if there is an afterlife or if there is somewhere next, I know I'm not going to the great place. I'm not going to the good place. So I'm gonna have as good of a time as I can while I'm here. And then it's just lemmings upon lemmings upon lemmings, and they're all just throwing themselves off the cliff. It's fine. And again, it doesn't read as like irredeemable or beyond whatever, but it's more like our human nature keeps us making sacrifice after sacrifice after sacrifice, especially after we get comfortable. Because at that point, it's like we don't want to. Oh, last card. We have pet Avengers. Leave it up. The animals have to be the ones to come in and save the day. The animals are like, hey, we're innocent, right? Don't tell. Why take the whole Earth when it was just the humans? Hello. I'm just kidding. Okay, Pet Avengers. We have dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog, hero. Where's the dragon from? Dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog. It has reach. It can reach the flying ones. Power up for 7 mana, one of which is Earth. You can put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and create a 3/2 white hero creature token with Vigilance. Activate each power up ability only once. Reduce the cost by its mana cost if it entered this turn. Lockheed, Hairball, Lockjaw, Redwing to me. Throg? What's Throg? Is it literally a Thor frog? Is that literally a Thor frog? Throg? Look at Throg. You see that? I see the lightning hammer. So we don't get Captain America. The humans have failed. It's up to the animals now. The only thing worthy of Mjolnir on the planet Earth is a frog. And it's interesting that like all of the scientists on the table are villains when I feel like it's almost like there are scientist energies that wouldn't necessarily identify themselves as scientist energies, although they pretty much basically align with the archetype. It's like it's the glass slipper that fits. You can be a scientist without claiming to be a scientist type energy. You know what I mean? And all of them have sacrifices that they believe they have to make and things that they're willing to compromise in order to get wherever and whatever. If all else fails, know that the earth will be safe. Right? Isn't that what Matt said last time? In a way, I don't know what this was. I mean, I do, but I don't necessarily know how it fits. It's like I do, but I should have known after Murdoch's crusade that this was all going to be downhill. I should have known that at that point it would be a roller coaster and it would just keep going. I also feel like this was very specifically focused on like the masculine energy, masculine approach, but feminine energy came out. Like the front door that acts as a back door, and the back door that people treat as a front door. There is no back door to this energy. It's all a hallucination. It's like in the beginning when it was the moloid. Something goes on. Something with the EMF, electromagnetic frequency, it causes people to hallucinate. And it's not difficult. If our brains use electromagnetic pulse, like electric neural impulses, to make sense of out of what we see and hear, and even if the connections between the neurons are thoughts, in a certain electromagnetic frequency range, you can get people to see whatever, taste whatever, hear whatever. It's all electronic. It's electric. It's all electric, not electronic. Electric. And again, it's that like in that illusion, people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's like someone has done a whole hero to villain cycle. They're giving their villain monologue. I'm untouchable. I can never be stopped. And then it's like the illusion shatters, the simulation powers off, real life kicks back in, and then you're just looking at them like, so if this were real, we know which one of us wouldn't be the hero for very long. But again, it's like this slippery slope. It sacrifices, it's compromises, it's entitlement. It's trying to get something out of something rather than genuinely, authentically connecting. It's ritual, it's practice, it's all kinds of other stuff. If you say this or do that, then you'll get what you want. And just like operating under that mindset and operating under that framework can be dangerous, like we've seen, apparently. But hey, we got the Pet Avengers, right? These could even be, you know what? Because we've seen like the big cats and the owls, and there have been different initiatory pathways associated with different animals. It could be someone learning from nature, learning intuitively and instinctively in a way that like is like close, straight from the source or close to the source or uncorrupted or unmanipulated or whatever. So it's like if it's not actual pets that form the pet avengers that come and make something or put something out of all this, it's like the again, it's the initiated. Very like Naruto, where they have the slug sage and the toad sage and the snake sage. I feel like there's a lot of different media where like stories or mythologies or books, novels, TV shows, movies, where someone like they're trained by some kind of animal or, you know, some kind of animal nature inspired whatever, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be animals. It can be elements. It could be whatever. It's natural. Anyway, this was what it was. What did it say? Unexpected. You will find great fortune in unexpected places. Maybe the places are unexpected because it's areas where the hallucination drops. Or it's like all of a sudden you find yourself on the other side of the wall or whatever. Like the animal that finds you could be one that finds you when you're not even expecting it. Or maybe the one that found you when you weren't expecting it. And because you didn't compromise whatever, the fruits of your labor or the fruits of your journey you will see. Again, the Crimson Operative, it's in a suit of armor. Anybody could be in this suit of armor. The villains did, let's see. Oh, wait, what about the hero? Well, they're animals and we got five. Five heroes, and one of them, excuse me, is animals. Hero, villain, 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 hero, villain, hero, villain, hero, hero. Five heroes, six villains. It's accurate. So the villains get a bonus card. What's the villain energy here? But even again, in the end, a lot of these heroes ended up becoming villains. Let's get one of these. For some reason, I wanted an elemental oracle card. Right, we got thunder and fire, superpower. I could do an animal. No, but the animals are heroes. But the animals are heroes. Dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog. Dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog. Dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog, heroes. Frog! Quick! Alright. Clean flipper, clean fall for the villains. The villains have reached that 6 card threshold. Coming out with a bonus energy. Ooh. Desert. Bottom of the deck is Completion West. The card that came out on its side is Desert Solitariness, number 43. Is that a 43? 13. No, that is 43. It's so light, I can't tell. 13. I think that's 13. Yeah, that's number 13. Oh, look, there's a 4-4. 13, 4, and the completion 4. The completion of solitariness. It was a fortune cookie wrapper. Villains come out. The completion of solitariness. Again, makes sense. Just in terms of, I don't know if it's like we're in our own worlds and our own minds and our own hearts, disconnected, and it's easy. It's easy in a place of disconnection. It's easy to sacrifice when we're disconnected. It's easy to use or try to take advantage of when we're disconnected. It's easy to fall under whatever self illusion, delusion, collective hallucination when things are disconnected. Because it's like if there were connection, if there were touch, we would know if something is substantial or not. But when it's distanced and disconnected, it's like a very lifelike hologram, illusion, whatever. But if you were to touch it, you would phase right through it. You would realize it has no substance. All promise, no substance. And at the end of the day, because we take the because we make the choices and decisions that we make, because we take the actions that we take, we earn whatever we get. I don't know. What an interesting time I feel like for this to come out. Or maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's a like in a moving forward kind of way, or in a moving forward type energy where it's like be mindful of the sacrifices that we think we have to make, and to be aware. I think the solitariness, the complete solitary isolation. I was telling my mom about a dream that I had, and she was like, "Were we in a?" She was like, "Were we in a cult?" I was like, "No, it's not a cult. It was like a community. It was just like, again, it was a community because like there were different families gathered together, but they were each like their individual unit, but there was also like this collective element to it as well." And she's like, "Well, when I hear community, I think cult." And it's like, okay, it ain't necessarily everybody following the same whatever. Again, even with the pet Avengers, the dragon, cat, dog, bird, frog. How many different animals is that? They work together even if they're not all on the same path, and they don't all have to be on the same path. And maybe that's one of the things too. It's like under the illusion of unity and unifying, we actually end up or can end up solitary and isolated. And it's not that hard to imagine, especially when you factor in the method of unification, right? When it comes to unity or whatever, how are we unifying everything? When it comes to harmony, how are we reaching peace? And what does it look like? Like, what are the components? Is it homogenous? Right? Anyway, flipping the top, the card we have is the Human Torch Johnny Storm. Now, the Human Torch is an interesting card because the Johnny that came out, or the energy of the Johnny that was present, was one of self immolation. But there are Johnnies that are just radiant, right? And it's almost like, because again, there's nothing about this that reads as definite or uh, unable to be changed. It's just that, like, human nature leads us more often than not to continue to choose isolation and solitude over true communal. And I guess that's interesting because I feel like for as long as we've been tribal, we've also been competitive, right? One tribe or one clan versus another tribe and another clan, or hierarchies and this and that and all kinds of other stuff. Is that almost like a switcheroo? Is it almost giving switcheroo type energy? I was thinking about earlier that Ool 12, that light dark uh, shuffle, right? Where we can reorganize our light and dark, so we can enter spaces that are all light and not disrupt it with our darkness, and we can enter spaces that are all dark and not disrupt it with our light. For example, an all dark space that we don't want to disrupt with our light, if we're in a position where we're like present with someone or with people, and it's like to be in the dark and to hold your light internally but not let it cause a disturbance. It's like if someone is going through a difficult time and they need to be like listened to or hold or held space or whatever, and it's like in that moment to try to bring in light would just cause a disturbance. Like it's a time for presence, or it's a time for mourning, it's a time for like accepting sometimes grim or harsh or unfortunate or unwanted reality. And you don't have to stay there, but to be able to go there and then through presence for things to be alleviated, right? And then obviously to enter spaces that are all light and we hold our internal darkness, that can be us going into a situation and it's like our baggage, our insecurities, our whatever doesn't like disrupt the vibe. But also like we don't have to, it's like we can just hold it. We can hold it without it going out of control or making things weird. You know what I mean? I don't know. So to see that human torch at the end, it's like radiance is possible. And also at the same time, too, there are masculine energies that are aligned. Just like if Captain America would have come out, then it would have been like Captain America Mjolnir energy is different than a Thor Mjolnir energy. It just is. Don't ask me why or how or whatever. But we didn't see Captain America. The truly heroic ones that we saw, I think the thing was kind of neutral, but the truly incorruptible, gonna be a hero until the end and not be under some kind of whatever. It was the animals. It was the pet Avengers. So, you know, I don't know. Take it if it resonate. Don't if it doesn't. Um, yeah, this was just one of them, and we're just. I'll just leave it here. I'll leave it here. Okay, until next time.